Okay, my name is Joel Doelger. I'm the Director of Community Relations and Housing Counseling here at Credit Counseling of Arkansas. I've been with CCOA for 19 years now.
Okay, gotcha. So, will you describe like your job for me, just so that I have a better
Sure,
understanding?
yeah. My current job has a lot to do with grant writing and grant reporting, also kind of project oversight, some supervision of counselors, and including the housing program. We decided to pick up student loan repayment counseling about 3 years ago, just shy of 3 years ago. And so I decided to get back into the counseling gig and pick up some of that so that it didn't overburden our other counselors who were doing a lot of other things.
So, how many people are you counseling right now?
It's not all that many, maybe just a couple of a month, really. A couple of new people per month, but then people don't usually get done in one session. A counseling session can last an hour and a half to 2 hours, but oftentimes there's other things to wrap up, so they'll come back and we'll have a second session and then a third session and in some cases a fifth session.
I understand. Okay. So, in my research, I found that Arkansas specifically has around, like on average, people have around $26,000 in debt. Why do you think that that is for Arkansas?
I can't speak to a comparison to other states necessarily. Just I know that school is more expensive than it had been certainly when I was back in school, but it's just a challenge to cover all the costs associated with going to school, with living away from home, with all the other expenses that are included in it. And student loan money is made available, luckily, but then I don't know that people are given adequate warnings of here's what it's going to cost you once you get out. And so people kind of go in thinking, oh, this is free money when it's not free money.
Do you think that people feel unprepared for the real costs? Like, do you feel like people are?
Yeah, I think that is true, that people are not prepared for the real costs once they're out of school. And oftentimes we're led to think of people who have student loan debt as people who have graduated and now have a higher degree that they can market. But you've got all sorts of people who never graduated who have student loan debt. And you've also got...
Oh, man. Sorry.
Yeah, that's quite all right. You have people who've never graduated, and then you've got people who have degrees that just don't pay the kind of money that they were expecting once they got out of, or when they went into school, they weren't thinking, this is going to reward me financially. It was more, this is my passion, this is my interest. But if your interest is in medieval French poetry, that's not going to get you a lot of money to pay back that $20,000, $30,000 of student loan debt.
Yes. So recently, in the first quarter of 2018, the Federal Bureau released their, synopsis of how much debt we have in student loans.
1.5 trillion.
1.5 trillion.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. Yeah.
Yes, it's a lot of money. What are, like, in your professional opinion, what are the long-term effects of that for the United States?
Sure. Because we deal with people dealing with all sorts of financial issues. Some of them are trying to get into a house, and so they want some guidance on how to go through the home buying process. There's other people who are trying to get out of other debt, like credit card debt or collection debt, medical debt. And so we try to give them guidance on that. And when you've got $20,000, $30,000 of student loan debt layered on top of that, it shuts down a lot of dreams, unfortunately. Certainly, a good education is a gateway, helps you to find a career, helps you to find a passion, helps you to find good employment, but it can also be a real millstone around your neck because it's holding you down. If you've got a student loan payment of $500 a month, that's a pretty good part of a house payment, or it certainly is a car payment. And so people aren't always anticipating that additional cost coming out of school that is really going to be a burden for them.
What are some of the sacrifices that you see your clients have to make because of their student loan?
I've had people who have been putting off getting married, starting a family. I've had people who have had put off. It had an impact on what career choices they could make. Luckily, there are some programs like the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, so that people who go into nonprofit or public service jobs can get onto an income-driven repayment plan and get done with payment after 10 years and have the rest of their debt eliminated. And that's a real good thing, because otherwise a lot of people would be really stuck, unable to pursue a passion in a nonprofit area that they'd really like to get after.
What do you feel like some of the main reasons are that people come to counseling for loans?
They're stuck. They feel like they're either spinning their wheels or they've just got their head stuck in the sand because they just don't know where to go. They need some guidance. There's nothing magical that we do here. All the information that I get across to people, that I tell people about, it's information that they could access on their own. But there's just so much information out there, and unfortunately, it's also, the information that's out there is also seeded with scammers and people who are trying to take your money and give you nothing in return. And so what we feel like is that we can give people reliable information that they can count on. We don't tell people what to do. We say, here's your situation. Here are some different options that you could pursue. Here's the consequence of those options, and then let them take it from there. But also just kind of be a sounding board. And I think one of the other things that's important too is we're not just looking at their student loans, we're looking at the bigger picture of what's going on in their finances. So we want to know, what's your income potential, what's it going to be in 6 months from now, what's your family situation, what are your car payments, your rent, what do you spend on utilities. So we don't put together a plan for the student loans that appears to resolve the student loan debt, but forgets about the car payment that they've got to make in order to get to work, in order to continue to gaining income. So like to look at that big picture.